Welcome to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhavatam. Today we are undertaking a review of the Mathura Pastimes of Krishna. So this is chapters 41 through to 51. As we get started, I'll chant some prayers glorifying the chanting of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the meantime, if you want to type a little comment, you're welcome to do so. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 4. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 17. Shinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Hyavadrani Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul, in everyone's heart, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. I'll read one more. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 18. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Welcome, dear friends. Thank you for joining this discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh no, so some of you have left comments and then they disappeared. I'll get them back by my Facebook page. Sometimes I click between tabs and things disappear. So let's see. I can see Shama Manjari joins us from South Africa. Thank you so much for being here, Shama Manjari. Shama Manjari says, Hare Krishna, Sri Prahlad, Prabhu. We also have Kirtina joining us from Norway, sending Dandavat Pranams, humble obeisances. Nikunja is with us from Auckland, New Zealand, says Hare Krishna. We have Rasika Sindhu, says Hare Krishna Prabhu. Ananda Kirtan's with us from Sydney, says Hare Krishna. Arti is with us. Thank you for joining, says Hare Krishna. And Gaurachandraji is with us from New Zealand. Gaurachandra says Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam. There we go. Who did I miss? Excellent. Yeah, I think I have you all. And so, again, thank you all for being here for this discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, life lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today, we're going to have a review. This is important to review and to reflect. We have been discussing Krishna's Mathura pastimes. We discussed from the 10th canto, first chapter, through to about first chapter through to chapter 40 are his Vrindavan pastimes. And then chapter 41 begins the Mathura pastimes, 41 to 51. And so with Krishna's marriage to Rukmini, then the Dvarka pastimes begin. That's from 52 through to about 90. This is actually Dvarka pastimes are the longest. It's 52 through to, I'll tell you in a second, 52 through to 90 are Krishna's Dvarka pastimes. So that's the longest section. May surprise some of us. We might have been thinking that the Vrindavan pastimes are the longest section. Vrindavan pastimes 1 to 41, Mathura pastimes or 1 to 40, Mathura pastimes 41 to 51. So that's the shortest. That's 10 chapters. And then Dvarka pastimes 52 through to 90. You see how big the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhavatam is. 90 chapters. Other cantos will have like 10 or 12 or 7. Here, 10th canto, 90 chapters. So before we continue with the Dvarka pastimes, it's good for us to just pause and go back and reflect and then continue to move on. I find this is a good practice for life in general. I've just completed 1 month parikrama in Vrindavan over Kartik. And before getting on the plane to return here, I thought I need to pause. I need to take stock. I need to reflect over the past month. Where did I go? What did I see? What have I realized? What did I feel through these experiences? What am I taking with me? What am I leaving behind? How have I changed through this experience? And so this is important to have these moments, at these sandhyas or junctures from one thing to another, that we pause and take stock before moving on. There's a little life lesson for all of us. And so in that spirit, we pause with going forward in the Bhagavatam to reflect on what we have discussed in these Mathura pastimes. So once again, we're discussing Srimad Bhavatam, Canto 10, chapters 41 through to 51. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So 10 chapters. We will have 6 sections to cover today in this review. 1, Krishna's entry into Mathura. 2, his killing Kamsa. 3, Krishna goes to Gurukul. 4, Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan. 5, Krishna fulfills his promises to his devotees. And 6, Jarasanda's attacks. So we start with Krishna's entry into Mathura. This is chapters 41 to 42 of this 10th canto. Very dramatic, Krishna's entry into Vrindavan. He is received by the residents of Mathura. So did I say Vrindavan? It's Mathura. Krishna's entry into Mathura. He's received by the enthusiastic residents. They are captivated by his beauty, especially the ladies of Mathura. And they stop whatever they're doing, like the gopis stopped whatever they were doing when they heard the sound of Krishna's flute. The residents of Mathura stopped whatever they were doing. They rushed to the balconies, to the rooftops, to the path, the roadway, the side of the road, to catch a glimpse of Krishna. And along the way, Krishna has encounters with 4 very fortunate souls. Many, but 4 in particular that get highlighted. One is a washerman. Another is a weaver. And there's a florist. And there is a maidservant, hunchback maidservant. So let's discuss each of these. The washerman was carrying Kamsa's clothes, and Krishna requested some of those clothes so that he and his friends, the cowherd boys, could dress themselves. The arrogant washerman refused Krishna's request and in fact insulted him, calling him a forest dweller who was not qualified to wear such fine clothes. Excuse me. And so Krishna, he punished the washerman. Krishna's punishment is also a blessing. With his fingertips, he severed the washerman's head, showing us how arrogance leads to our downfall. When we are arrogant, and particularly in relation to Krishna, and envious of Krishna, then the soul is punished. The next encounter is with a weaver. He is a contrast to the washerman. He has many nice ornaments, and when Krishna asks him for those ornaments, he lovingly adorns Krishna and Balaram and their friends with these beautiful cloth ornaments, woven ornaments, and Krishna is very pleased, and he gives his blessings to the weaver. And then there's the florist, whose name is given to us as Sudama. Krishna and Balaram go to his home. He must have been a famous florist, and he's very happy to receive Krishna and Balaram. He worships them with the different upachars, the items of worship. And then when he understands that Krishna and Balaram desire some garlands, then he very enthusiastically gives them to Krishna, Balaram, and their friends. So this is a little nice lesson here about anticipating the desire of the Lord. The others, Krishna made a request, but for Sudama, it was an understanding. This is what Krishna wants. And so he offered beautiful flower garlands and ornaments to Krishna and his friends. And then Krishna was very pleased. He says, please ask of me any benediction. And this devotee, Sudama, he shows us how to respond to Krishna when offered a blessing. He asks not for liberation, not for material wealth or opulence. Instead, he says, please bless me with unshakable devotion for you, with friendship towards your devotees, and compassion for all living beings. What wonderful, wonderful requests he's made. What wonderful aspirations he has. And Krishna indeed blessed this fortunate florist, Sudama. Continuing along their way, Krishna met a hunchback maiden who was carrying fragrances and ointments, perfumes, and ornaments. And Krishna requested some of her, and enthusiastically she gave Krishna and his friends these different, she decorated them with different ointments and fragrances, and Krishna was very pleased. This hunchback, Kubja, she was bent over, and Krishna, to reward her, he placed his foot on her feet, and then with his fingertips, the same fingertips that he had earlier killed the washerman with his fingertips, he placed them under her chin and then lifted her up. And she was straightened, and her beauty, which had been covered by her hunch, others were not able to see, it shone forth. And so Krishna reveals the hidden potential of his devotee, Kubja. Regardless of our physical appearance, Krishna sees and appreciates our inner character and the potential of the soul that is beautiful. Kubja, she became very attracted to Krishna at this moment. She was already attracted, but she became even more attracted. She's pulled at his clothes and said, please come to my home. And Krishna was a little uncomfortable. He told her, I will come after I fulfill my promise to punish King Kamsa. The thing to recognize here is that all these people, they're also taking a risk. Kamsa, he was a tyrannical king. He was an arrogant, tyrannical king, and he hated Krishna severely. And so the washerman, he refuses Krishna's request. He's afraid, but he also thinks Krishna unqualified. The others, the weaver, the florist, and Kubja, they're giving these things to Krishna freely, even though he is recognized as or perceived by Kamsa to be his enemy, this very powerful tyrannical king. So they're taking a risk as well in doing this, and Krishna is very grateful that they're taking that risk for him and offering that service. Next, Krishna went to an arena where there was a bow, a sacred bow on display. And Krishna boldly lifted that bow and he strung it. And as he did so, the bow broke. Sukadeva Goswami says, like an elephant breaks a piece of sugar cane. The soldiers that were protecting that bow were enraged. They surrounded Krishna and his friends to kill them. Krishna and Balaram, they used the two halves of the bow to defeat these soldiers. And he and his friends left by, not a side gate, but by the main gate, confident. Krishna, yeah, he's fully confident, and his friends are confident because they're with Krishna. Krishna and his friends continue to explore the city with great joy and having lots of fun, and afterwards return to their encampment. Meanwhile, Kamsa was gripped with fear, learning of Krishna's prowess and his exploits in the city. And he saw evil omens and was unable to sleep that night as he constantly thought of Krishna. And so the next day, chapters 42, 43 of this 10th canto describes what happens the next day. Krishna, he rises and he enters the wrestling arena, but as he's coming to the gate, there is a mighty elephant that has been stationed there to kill him, so that he won't even make it into the wrestling arena. This is Kuvalya Pida. Despite the elephant's external size and strength, Krishna easily subdues and kills him with remarkable skill and adaptability. Krishna goes between his hind legs so the elephant's unable to see him, and he plays with the elephant and then finally kills him using his own tusk. And there's the metaphor of using the thorn to remove a thorn, or using the axe handle is made from wood to fell a wooden tree. And so here we have an example. Krishna uses the elephant's own tusk to kill the elephant. In bhakti, this would be whatever talent or attachment or skill or that you have, you just redirect it towards Krishna. That attachment, you channel, rechannel, repurpose, refocus towards Krishna, and then it will become your pathway for cure from material attachment. Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram, and various groups perceived him differently based on their different relationships. The yogis saw Paramatma, the devotees saw Lord Vishnu, the elderly people, some of them they saw a small boy that they wish was their son. The ladies, they saw Cupid personified, and so on and so forth, different people. The Vrishnis, they saw our family member. And so based on their relationship, they're perceiving Krishna differently. And Krishna, he also reciprocates differently based on how we approach him, how we see him. Krishna is all of those things all at once, all at the same time. Krishna and Balaram fought with the wrestlers Chudura and Mushtika, and defeated them. And other wrestlers came forward, Kuta and Shala and Toshala. They were also defeated. And then Kamsa was enraged by the defeat of the wrestlers. He ordered Krishna and Balaram to be killed and their family members to be arrested. And so Krishna, he furiously and swiftly jumped onto the dais where Kamsa was sitting and killed him. Then he grabbed him by the hair and dragged him across the wrestling arena so that all the citizens could see that the tyrant Kamsa was dead and his tyrannical reign had come to an end. After the death of Kamsa, Krishna pacified his widows and performed the funeral rites for Kamsa and his brothers. He restored Vasudeva and Devaki, his parents, to their respectful positions. This was their first meeting with him. He comforted them, he expressed affection for them, and he helped them to feel for him as parents feel for their child, because they were standing before him in awe and reverence. Krishna installed Ugrasen Maharaj, Kamsa's father, as the king of the Yadus, and he bade farewell to Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd community who were visiting from Vrindavan, telling them that he would come as soon as he had satisfied his family members in Mathura. All of these pastimes, they illustrate how Krishna interacts with different people in different ways according to how we approach him. If we approach him with envy and try to compete with him, that's one type of relationship. We get punished by the material nature when we do that. If we approach with material desires, Krishna will fulfill those. If we approach with love and devotion, then Krishna gives himself. And that's what he does with his most intimate and loving devotees, particularly his devotees in Sri Vrindavan now. After Krishna had restored Ugrasen Maharaj to the throne, we're coming to the second topic now, or the third, yeah? We had Kamsa's, Krishna's entry into Mathura, his killing Kamsa, second topic. Now, third topic, Krishna goes to Gurukul. So after installing Ugrasen Maharaj on the throne, then Vasudeva, he arranged for Krishna and Balaram to be initiated to receive Upanayanam and Brahma Gayatri from Garga Muni, and then seeking his further education, Krishna went to Ujjain or Avantipur, where he enrolled in the school, in the Gurukula of Sandipani Muni. And Krishna served his guru, and he learned from all Vedic knowledge, and particularly, as described, he learned 64 arts in 64 days. And so it was a short stay in the Gurukul, just over 2 months. He learned everything that his teacher could offer. And on completing their education, Krishna and Balaram satisfied their spiritual master Sandipani Muni by offering him dakshina. Now, Sandipani Muni, he recognized that these students of mine are no ordinary personalities. Let me ask of them something worthy, something valuable. And so he asked that Krishna return his son, who had been killed or lost on the ocean shore at Prabhas Kshetra, which comes later in the Bhavatam as well, 11th canto, but that's for later. That location is interesting for us. And so they went there, they spoke to the ocean. The ocean said, I don't have the boy, but there was a demon named Panchajanya. He took the boy from the ocean as he took his bath. And so Krishna and Balaram, they dove into the ocean. They found Panchajanya, a demon who lived in a shell, killed the demon, took the shell, but they were unable to find the boy. And so they went to Yamaraj. And in the abode of Yamaraj, they found that the Sandipani Muni's son was indeed there. So Yamaraj handed the boy to Krishna, who presented him to his spiritual master, Sandipani Muni, fulfilling his request. And with the blessings of their guru, Krishna and Balaram returned home. So from this, we have some important instructions. Despite being omniscient, Krishna and Balaram displayed humility and dedication, learning from their spiritual master. and they highlight for us the importance of education and respect of teachers and commitment to vows and fulfilling promises, and uh, the finding contentment in devotion to Krishna as well. Now we come to our fourth topic, Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan, chapters 46 and 47. Excuse me, again, a little bit of congestion here. One day, while Krishna was in Mathura, shortly after returning from the Gurukul, Krishna was feeling deep anguish and separation from the Brajbasis, the residents of Vrindavan. And so he called his most trusted friend, confidant, advisor, and cousin, Uddhava, to go to Vrindavan as a messenger and console his parents and the gopis. And so Uddhava, he journeyed to Vrindavan, where Yogamaya arranged that he saw the place as it was when Krishna resided there, beautiful pastoral scene with cows grazing and abundant opulence in the fields and in the village. Initially, Uddhava met Nanda and Yasoda, who expressed intense love and longing for Krishna. And Uddhava really struggled to console them. Krishna had sent them to console them, but what is he to say? How is he to tell somebody, don't worry, don't feel any sense of longing or separation from Krishna? He in fact found it was a helpless task, because these people are displaying the highest spiritual ecstasy, different from materialistic lamentation. After meeting Nanda and Yasoda, Uddhava met the gopis. They were enchanted by Uddhava's likeness that resembled Krishna's. He was Krishna's cousin. He had the same darkish complexion. He also dressed in Krishna's clothes. He wore Krishna's Mahaprashadam clothes and garland and came in Krishna's chariot. And so the gopis, they honored Uddhava and they sought solace in Uddhava's presence, hoping to hear news of Krishna. The gopis revealed the depths of their anguish, their longing for Krishna, which was both profound and bittersweet. They spoke of their love for Krishna, but there was also some anger and a sense of perceived betrayal and pain of separation in their words. And among these gopis, Srimati Radharani particularly stood out as she expressed her feelings for Krishna in a song that is called Brahmara Geet. She addressed, that is the song of the bee. She addressed the bee as if it were a messenger from Krishna and expressed her pain and disillusionment. Her words were both steeped in love, but they also revealed hurt, and she questioned Krishna's actions, expressing a range of both anger and yearning, while also reflecting on her intense bond that she shared with Krishna. And these words penetrated Uddhava's heart. Hearing of the complexities of this love and devotion and longing that Radha and the gopis harbored for Krishna, Uddhava, he conveyed Krishna's message to the gopis. He praised their unwavering devotion for him, and he conveyed this message emphasizing Krishna's omnipresence and the nature of the soul's detachment from entanglements, that if they're able to focus on Krishna's being present everywhere, then they will never feel separation. These words glorified meditation, and the gopis were not satisfied with them. Their love for Krishna, it superseded or surpassed these teachings, and they dismissed the value of knowledge or meditation. And so Uddhava, he saw this and he was moved, witnessing the gopis' unalloyed devotion for Krishna. And he found immense joy in this. and he recognized how the gopis' devotion, their love, it surpassed that of the yogis and the jnanis and even other bhaktas. And in awe of their devotion, he prayed for service in the line of the gopis, and he prayed to become an insignificant bush or blade of grass in Vrindavan that would be blessed by the dust of the gopis' lotus feet. And so, returning to Vrindavan, Uddhava, he described the profound devotion of the residents of Vrindavan, and particularly the gopis, before all the Yadus, which is what Krishna wanted. He, in fact, sent Uddhava on this impossible mission because he wanted Uddhava to learn. Although he was very, very wise, very knowledgeable, having been trained personally by Brihaspati, he didn't know about Prema Bhakti, particularly of the quality of the residents of Braj. And so he wanted Uddhava to learn this, and he wanted Uddhava to attest to it before the other Yadus. So let's go now to our fifth topic. Krishna fulfills his promises to his devotees. This is described in chapter 48. And it describes specifically two devotees, one Kubja, the other Akrura. After Krishna had straightened Kubja and she invited him to her home, Krishna said, I will come once I have killed Kamsa. And so now Krishna felt that he must fulfill that promise. And so, keeping his word, he went there with Uddhava. And despite the fact that Kubja was initially attracted to Krishna for sensual reasons, Krishna responded with understanding and compassion. He fulfilled her desire and alleviated her distress, and she was purified by Krishna's embrace. She came to the level of pure love. So although her initial motive in seeking Krishna might have been worldly, through Krishna's association, her intentions were purified, leading towards spiritual upliftment. And this can be reassuring for us as well. Even though we may approach Krishna with other desires or intentions initially, by association with devotees, by association with the holy name, our hearts are purified, and pure love for Krishna can be awakened within us. Krishna similarly kept a promise to Akrura. When Krishna was brought to Mathura by Akrura, Akrura said, please come to my home. And Krishna had told him the same thing, let me first defeat Kamsa. And so Krishna now fulfilled Akrura's desire. He entered Akrura's home. Akrura offered beautiful prayers, which are most instructive to all of us when we analyze those prayers. And then Krishna made a request of Akrura that he go to Hastinapura and inquire about the well-being of the 5 Pandavas who were living in the Kuru court that was ruled by Dhritarashtra. And Krishna was concerned that Dhritarashtra was not treating them well. And so Akrura made that mission as a diplomat from the Yadu court. He spoke with Kunti, he spoke with Uddhava, with Vidura, and he learned that indeed the Pandavas were not being well treated by Dhritarashtra, and he tried to give some good advice to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra agreed with what Akrura told him, but said that because of attachment, he wasn't able to apply it. That is, to be equal in his dealings with his sons and his nephews, the Pandavas, the sons of Dhritarashtra's brother, Pandu. And so Akrura, he returned to Mathura and reported all that he had learned. Meanwhile, after Kamsa's demise, his grieving queens had gone to their father and sought refuge in him, and also sought revenge against Krishna. And their father's name was, can you guess? Jarasandha. And so Jarasandha, he brought together a massive army and he attacked Mathura. So this is the last section. Chapters 50 to 52 describes Jarasandha's attacks on Mathura. Sorry, excuse me here. Krishna, facing this overwhelming force of Jarasandha's army, he contemplated what to do. And as he was thus contemplating, two chariots descended from the spiritual world with all of their celestial weapons, Krishna's Gandiva bow, his Komanaki club, his Sudarshan, and other celestial weapons were there in that transcendental chariot drawn by four horses. And with the flag of Garuda on the chariot. So this arrived for Krishna's use. Similarly, Balaram also received a celestial chariot and weapons. And they went out and destroyed those thousands and thousands of soldiers that Jarasandha had amassed. And Balaram, he captured Jarasandha. But Krishna had a plan, and he told Balaram, let him go, release him. Krishna reasoned that this Jarasandha would go back, collect another army, and bring them to fight with Krishna. And in this way, Jarasandha would help Krishna and Balaram to fulfill their purpose of relieving the earth of the burden of these demons that were in the guise of Kshatriyas. And they had invaded the earth and planned to use the earth for further domination of the universe. And so Krishna decided it was better to let Jarasandha go, that he would bring more of these demons to fight with Krishna and Balaram, and they would fulfill their purpose. And indeed, that's what Jarasandha did. 17 times Jarasandha, the king of Magda, he faced defeat from Krishna and Balaram when attacking Mathura. And despite these losses, he persisted, leading his divisions against Mathura, which was protected by Krishna and Balaram. As Jarasandha prepared to attack Mathura the 18th time, a barbarian king named Kalayavana arrived with millions of soldiers and laid siege on Mathura. So this is interesting, just the name Kalayavana. He is not a native Bharati. He's not an Indian, what we call an Indian today. He's come from somewhere outside. He's a foreign invader. And he, in fact, had been told by Narad Muni, Kalyavana, he was disturbed that there was no one powerful enough for him to fight with. So Narada said, oh, you fight with Krishna. you will be easily defeated by him. And so that's why Kalyavana came to Mathura with all of his soldiers. And as he laid siege on Mathura, Jarasandha was also on the march, marching with a huge army towards Mathura at the same time. And so Krishna, he decided to erect a fortress city within the sea to safeguard the residents of Mathura, to safeguard the Yadus. And he engaged Vishvakarma in constructing this impregnable city filled with marbles, and he transported the populace there. And subsequently, he returned to Mathura and walked out of the city gates wearing just a garland of lotuses, not carrying any weapons. And he came before Kalyavana, who followed Krishna. And Krishna kept just in front of him. And so Kalyavana, he chased Krishna. Ultimately, Krishna entered into a cave where there was a sleeping giant warrior named Muchakunda. He's a giant because he's from an earlier age. He had been fighting for the demigods, And when the demigods offered him a boon, he said, just let me sleep. And whoever disturbs my sleep, let me burn to ashes just by glancing upon them. So Krishna knew that this devotee had been sleeping there for a long, long time from a previous age. And so, but he didn't want to wake him up. Nobody could wake him up. And so Krishna entered the cave, and then Kalyamana came and followed behind him, and he saw Kalyamana in the dark. He saw someone lying there. He thought, that's Krishna. So he kicked him. And Muchukunda woke up, looked to see who had woken him, and seen Kalyamana. He burned him to ashes with his gaze. In this way, Krishna, he achieved many things by doing one thing. He killed the barbarian demon king Kalyavana. He also woke up Muchukunda, who, seeing Krishna, recognized his divinity and offered prayers. Krishna, he offered a blessing to Muchukunda, and Muchukunda, he prayed just for devotion, shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. And so Krishna was pleased with Muchukunda's devotion, and he blessed him and advised him to perform devotional service at Badrikashram. And so Muchukunda, he left the cave, and he was surprised to see everything had shrunk. All the people and animals and houses and everything looked so small, because he was from a different age, a different time. And with Krishna's blessings, he went to Badrikashram, performed devotional service, and he returned to the spiritual sky. Krishna, meanwhile, after delivering Muchukunda, returned to Mathura, where he defeated Kalyavana's army and then collected the booty on some chariots and was about to proceed to Dwarka when who but Jarasandha arrived with his massive army. And so Krishna didn't want to deal with Jarasandha again. He had already defeated him 17 times. So rather than engage in battle, Mathura was already emptied. All the Vrishnis and the Yadus were already gone. Krishna didn't need to defend it anymore. And so he and Balaram just ran away. And with this, Krishna earned the name Ranchor. Ranchor means he who runs from the battlefield or flees the battlefield. They went to a mountain called Pravarshana, and Jarasandha ordered that fires be set all around the mountain so that Krishna and Balaram could be burned on that mountain. But Krishna and Balaram, they jumped from the mountain peak, and they escaped unseen and returned safely to Dwarka. And Jarasandha, thinking that they had perished, returned to his kingdom. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that tells us that Jarasandha symbolizes attachment to mundane rituals that are done over and over and over again with little result. Bhaktivinoda, in fact, mentions 18 different rituals that are routinely performed. And so, despite Jarasandha's defeat, he continues to persist with his attacks on Mathura. And so materialists, they also persist with fruitive rituals. They get some result, but they're still in the material world. And so the cycle just repeats. So we have discussed these topics then of Krishna's entry into Mathura, his killing Kamsa, his going to Gurukula, Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan, Krishna's fulfilling his promises to his devotees, and his defeat of Jarasandha, deliverance of Muchukunda, and his establishing of Dwarka. Dear Krishna, a prayer. As you graced Mathura's gates with your celestial presence, the city's residents were mesmerized by you and Balaram. Your arrival kindled fervor among the people who abandoned their daily chores and responsibilities to immerse themselves wholly in your divine presence. Throughout your path, encounters with different souls unveiled the nuances of the relationships of the devotee, or the soul with you, the Supreme Lord. The prideful washerman, whose refusal led to his downfall, is a reminder of the consequences of arrogance and envy. Conversely, the weaver and Sudama's selfless service garnered your blessings, emphasizing the profound rewards of devotion and kindness. Kubja's transformation from hunchback maiden to beautiful damsel revealed how you recognize your devotees' hidden potential, regardless of outward appearances, bestowing inner beauty and grace on those who seek your divine shelter. Your breaking of the sacrificial bow instilled terror in Kamsa's heart, revealing your prowess and providing testimony to the strength that resonates within those who practice bhakti fearlessly. Kamsa's demise at your transcendental might exemplifies your role in liberating souls, even amidst the deepest forgetfulness of your glory. Your actions after Kamsa's fall, comforting his widows and restoring Vasudeva and Devaki to their positions, showcase your compassion and acknowledgement of sacrifices made for you. The tale of your Gurukul education exudes humility and dedication, affirming the significance of education and respect for teachers, commitment to vows, and honoring promises. Despite your omniscience, you humbly pursued knowledge from spiritual masters, an exemplary trait for all of us to emulate. Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan, where the gopis' unparalleled love and anguish in your separation were laid bare, spoke volumes about the essence of devotion. Their love transcends teachings, wisdom, or practices, unveiling the depth of devotion for you. In fulfilling promises to devotees like Kubja and Akrura, you exemplified the virtue of keeping commitments and displayed compassion, allowing for transformation from mundane desires to spiritual pursuits. Facing Jarasanda's relentless attacks, you orchestrated the protection of your people, constructing an impregnable fortress in the sea. Your encounter with Kalyavana and Muchakunda revealed the futility of material desires and the fruits of devotion, guiding us towards a path of surrender and service at your lotus feet. Your divine pastimes provide profound lessons, teaching us how devotion and selfless surrender are the true gateways to experience your divine grace. Let me acknowledge some of you who joined after I started speaking, and in the meantime, if you have any questions, type them in the chat. We can further explore some of the glory that we've learned here in this review of the Mathura pastimes described in the Srimad Bhavatam, chapters 41 to 51. So Monica Sharma is with us here from Sydney. Monica Sharma says, Hare Krishna. Janava Mata is with us from Dunedin, in the South Island of New Zealand. Janava Mata says, Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Rasa Stali is with us from South Africa. Rasa Stali says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, my Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for joining so late in South Africa. Grateful for your presence. Krishangi is with us from Sydney, Australia. Krishangi says, Hare Krishna. Thank you for being here, Krishangi. Janava Mata has a question. Thank you, as always, for another nectarian feast of Krishna Katha, including your wonderful realizations and inspirations. I had a realization in regards to my last week's question about why the mind sometimes tells us, I've heard it all before. I want something fresh and new, or I don't want to hear anymore. It's just the modes of passion and ignorance. In goodness and beyond, every word is nectar. The pastimes are ever fresh and inspiring, and we just want more and more. Thank you for offering these pastimes in such a sweet and inspiring way. Adior, adior. Thank you for that, Janavamata. And interestingly, Kapila Dev told us that our bhakti can sometimes be mixed with the modes as well. He says when our bhakti is mixed with ignorance, what does he say? Bhakti mixed with ignorance. Maybe that's then that we're doing it out of fear. And when it's mixed with passion, he says then we're engaging in bhakti practices, but for fame and recognition. So other rewards than bhakti itself. And then he says when it's in the mode of goodness, then it is done out of a sense of duty. And then when we transcend goodness, then bhakti is done with love, with devotion. That's pure bhakti. So that supports your insight that sometimes the modes get in the way of our bhakti practice, even though the practice of bhakti, hearing Bhagavatam, purifies us from the influence of the modes of nature. Shridvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantasto hyabadrani virunoti surhit satam nasta prayeshu abadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Those verses, they go on. It's the second chapter of the first canto. Verse 19 says, Rajas tamas tamo bhada. Anyway, the verse 19 describes how the soul is purified of passion and ignorance and comes to the mode of goodness. And then after that, sudham sattvam prasidyati, is purified even of goodness to transcendence. So that's the process. We continue with the process, and the effect is given, even though in our conditioned state, the modes might be getting in the way. And thank you for sharing the insight. So if we're feeling that we've heard it all before, we know everything and nothing's new, we want something fresh, Janavamata is giving us this insight that that's the mode of ignorance speaking. We can overcome that, and we can appreciate that Krishna's pastimes are ever fresh. And when we go with that attitude, we'll find that every time we hear, we get new insight and new realization. And it's as if we're hearing for the first time. That's my experience. Every time I read Srimad Bhagavatam, there's so much more revealed. Even though I've read it before, so much more revealed every single time. And it's just amazing how it just continues to open up more and more insight, more and more nuance, more and more mercy that Krishna gives. Thank you for that, Janavamata. Alicia's with us from Auckland, New Zealand. Alicia says, Kia ora, Prabhu. Hope you're safe and well. Krishna. Thanks, Alicia. Prasila is with us. Prasila says, Hari Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Kirtina sending gratitude and a flower offering. And Gaurachandra, he says, joining us from New Zealand, says, thank you for such a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you, Gaurachandraji. So there we conclude our review of the Mathura pastimes. Hopefully this review will help you to remember what are the Mathura pastimes. Is Krishna's entry to Mathura, his killing of Kamsa, he goes to Gurukul, he sends Uddhava to Vrindavan, he keeps his promises to Kubja and Akura, and he deals with Jarasandha and establishes Dvarka. All of that described in these 10 chapters, 41 to 51. Janavamata has another insight here. From today's class, I'm left with so much gratitude and appreciation for how kind and thoughtful the Lord is, how clever and brilliant his actions are. We are so fortunate that Prabhupada has given us this unending, never-ending ocean of nectar to swim in. I like that metaphor, swimming in the ocean of Krishna Lila, Krishna pastimes. I thank you all. I wish you health, and I wish you safety. I wish you satisfaction and peacefulness in your heart. I wish you loving relationships with devotees. I wish you to deepen your taste for chanting Krishna's holy names. May you deepen your taste and attachment for hearing Srimad Bhavatam, and may the Bhavatam, each time you hear, may you have deeper insight and realization by Krishna's mercy. May you deepen your appreciation for the holy Nam, Sri Vrindavan Nam. May you deepen your attachment for serving Krishna as he appears in his Sri Vigraha, in his deity form. And may you deepen your appreciation for service to Vaishnavas. And may these practices of bhakti soften your heart, that you are moved to share these treasures with others as well. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.